Hello friends, today we would discuss the plant-water relations before going for the deep physiological studies. The plant and water relationship is very essential because some vital processes needed for continuity of life, for development of life, they are diffusion, osmosis, plasmolysis. These are very important processes in plant life because the transportation of the material, the giving and taking mechanism in each cell, in each part of the plant, it is done by these processes. But before discussing about the diffusion or plasmolysis or the osmosis, let's try to understand the importance of water in plant life. Importance of water. Why in plant life? We know water is important everywhere. For our life also. Can we imagine our life without plant, without water, sir? Can we imagine our life without water a single day? We need water at each and every moment. We can't spend one single day without water. You might be knowing that the body weight, 70% body weight in the animals is water, weight of the water, 70%, and 90% weight of body in the plants is water, 90%. So if a plant weighs for 100 kg, 90 kg is water only in that plant, only 10% other substances. See the importance. And why only body weight? In our evolution process also, the first life forms appeared in water. That's why I have written here. When we talk of the importance of water in the plant life, first thing we have to consider that life has been originated in water itself. If we believe the Big Bang theory of evolution, which states where the life starts. According to that theory, sun was a big globe and it big sphere, and it splits due to the explosion, and the solar system, our solar system, has been created, in which the different planets like Earth and Mars, etc., they have been created at that time, at the time of Big Bang theory. So the Earth received, each planet received something. Earth received the atmosphere in which gases were present, and when this Earth was going away from sun, before settling into its own orbit, before settling, it was going away from the sun slowly. At that time, there was a period when, due to the heat, due to the energy, tremendous energy of the sun, because Earth was close to the sun at that time, due to that energy, the atmosphere which was present with Earth and the gases which were present in that atmosphere, in these gases there was some bond formation. Due to that bond formation, energy is required for the bond formation. Always when there is energy, there is bond formation. So bonds were formed in between the H and O, two H molecules and one O molecule, and H2O was created. First thing, when this H2O was created, then it was due to the heat and energy from the sun, all these something happened there, and bond formation. This bond formation resulted in the formation of proteins, DNA, RNA, and other biomolecules, and viruses were created by the protein and the DNA, protein and the RNA. First form of life. bacteria were evolved at that time, and all these bacteria and the protozoans later on, all of them means initial forms of life, they have been evolved in water. Now these later on evolved into different life forms, different body shapes, body designs, and today's diverse life evolved. But it was water in which the life started evolving. The first forms of life evolved in water, and that's why we can't imagine life without water. Water is the most important thing for life, most important. We may live some days without food, but we can't live a single day without water, and that's why water is essential. Now this water, which is 90% part of the plant weight, let's see what other important aspects of the plants are related with water. So life originated in water, then 90 to 95% protoplasm is water. We know cell is made up of cell wall and protoplasm in plants especially. So cell wall is just the outer covering, it is the protective covering. Inside it, whatever is present, it is protoplasm. And whatever the protoplasm is present inside the cell, 90 to 95% of that protoplasm is water. Whatever, all cell organelles are present in it, nucleus is present in different ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, whatever things are present in the cell, that are only 5%, 90 to 95% is the water in the protoplasm. See the amount of water. It is present there because it is essential. Whatever is essential is done in life, natural life. Then the water is important in plants for distribution of the substances. All the substances are dissolved in water, they are dissolved in water and then they are distributed. For distribution, suppose food is created in the leaves. Now that food in the form of glucose or fructose or starch, maltose, whatever it is, initially it is glucose and fructose. That food need to be taken to each and every plant organ, each and every plant cell. It needs to be given to the root cells, the stem cells, flower cells and fruit cells. So that food is dissolved in water and then it is taken in the phloem, by the phloem to the different plant organs. So food cannot be distributed, the minerals cannot be distributed if water would be absent. All of these materials which need to be transported in plants from one place to another place, I have written here from cell to cell. They are carried from one cell to another cell, or they are carried from one part of the plant to another plant part, from leaf to the root, from leaf to the stem, from leaf to the flowers and fruits. The food need to be carried, the different minerals and other substances need to be carried from one place to another place, from one cell to another cell, from one plant part to another plant part, and that needs water, because all the transportation or distribution inside the plant body is taking place by water. These substances are dissolved in water and then they are carried. Without water it is not possible. Water is a reagent in reactions. What does it mean? A reagent. Now remember, what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is defined as a process in which the inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and water, H2O, CO2 plus H2O, in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll molecule forms the glucose and oxygen, C6H12O6 plus O2. So the equation is CO2 plus H2. H2O is there. Water is important for photosynthesis because The food is synthesized from carbon dioxide and water. Again, one of the most important process of life, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a life process because it is the only process which traps sunlight energy, converts it into chemical energy, and it is the energy is made available to the all living organisms by this exclusively this only this process, photosynthesis. Without photosynthesis, energy cannot be captured by living organisms. So, for capturing the sunlight energy and for converting it into usable form, food is a usable form of energy. It is chemical energy which is present in the food. So, light energy is captured and food is synthesized, and for that water is essential. There is process in which food can be synthesized without light. That process is known as chemosynthesis, but again water is required in chemosynthesis also. So all these life processes, photosynthesis, they need water, and water is a reagent there. It is product in respiration. Again, C6H12O6 is broken down in presence of oxygen, and CO2 and water are released. One more thing, the importance of water. Whatever oxygen we require, we get, that is coming from hydrolysis in photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, H2O is broken down, and that is known as Hill's process, Hill's reaction, hydrolysis. So H2O is broken down into H and O. That H is utilized for C6H12O6 glucose formation, and O is released in the environment, and that is that O, that oxygen, which is the life gas for us. We are living with the help of oxygen only as a gas, and that oxygen is also coming from water by breakdown of water in photosynthesis, Hill's reaction or the photolysis of water. So everywhere we can see so many aspects are there where we find out the importance of water. So it is a reagent not only for photosynthesis. There are so many processes in which water is the reagent, water is required. Breakdown of chemical substances. Many chemical substances can be broken down only with the help of water. For example, at the time of seed germination, the complex sugars are broken down into simple sugars, and at that time water is needed. You know, without water there would be no seed germination. For everything, for breaking of the higher complex substances into simpler substances, water is needed. Water is needed to break down the seed coat or the fruit coat or fruit wall, whatever it is. Without seed coat, breaking the plumule and radicle from the embryo cannot come out. So we know what is seed germination. In the seed germination, the external covering of the seed, which is known as seed coat, it is broken down by absorption of water. In absence of water, seeds does not germinate. Why? Because they need water to break down the seed coat. If and only seed coat is broken down, the plumule comes out and forms the shoot part, radicle comes out and it forms the root part, and therefore in absence of water there is no seed germination. See, one of again vital process for the plant life, seed germination. Plants can be formed only after germination of the seeds, and seed germination is possible only when water is present. Then water maintains turgidity in the plants, the whatever cell shape and pressure inside the cells and the tissues, that is maintained by the water. We would talk about this later on. Plants take dissolved nutrients. Now at the time of absorption also, we have talked about distribution. At the time of absorption also, whatever material is needed plants, it is taken from the soil and it is taken by the roots and it is taken in the dissolved form in water. When the minerals are dissolved in water, then and then only they can be taken. We know a lot of potassium, a lot of phosphorus, a lot of nitrogen is present in soil, but it cannot be taken by plants if it is in insoluble forms. It needs to be converted. Now nitrogen is present, tremendous large amount of nitrogen is present in the air, but it cannot be taken by the plants. They need nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, but they need it in dissolved form. So we know nitrogen fixation is the process in which the nitrogen is brought into soluble form. Potassium is brought into soluble form. Phosphorus, a lot of phosphorus, inorganic phosphorus is present in the soil, but it is not useful for the plants. It can be used by the plants only when it comes into the dissolved forms, and dissolved form, because when it is dissolved in water, it is soluble in water, then and then only it can be taken by the plant. So whatever required by the plant, it is taken in dissolved form, it is absorbed in dissolved form by the plants, and that happens at the time of absorption of the I'm talking about this point, absorption of the nutrients by the roots. Before that, water activates the enzymes. Each and every step of photosynthesis, each and every step of respiration, each and every step of nitrogen metabolism, lipid metabolism, we know it is controlled by enzymes. In human beings, in animals also, we know digestion and so many other things. Everywhere enzymes are required, and always enzymes work in a proper quantity of water. In absence of water, enzymes are non-active, they are deactivated. And if enzymes are deactivated, there will be no life processes, no processes at all, no metabolism at all. Metabolism at each step is controlled by the enzymes, and enzymes work only in presence of water. So water activates enzymes, and enzymes control our processes, each and every life process or metabolic process. It is controlled by enzymes. Enzymes work in presence of water. No water, no enzymes, no metabolic processes. No metabolic processes, no life, because from cell division up to the nitrogen metabolism, everywhere the enzymes are needed. Pollination and fertilization. In many aquatic plants, pollination depends on the water. We know it is known as hydrophily when the pollination is done by the water. The water lilies or the aquatic plants, aquatic flowering plants, they need water for their pollination. Seed dispersal, we know the plants like coconut and many other plants, they have developed their life cycle in such a way that they flower in April, before April, and they mature their seeds just at the start of monsoon. When the monsoon starts, if we go to the rivers, we can see a lot of seeds on the bed of the rivers. Why? The plants have developed their life cycle accordingly, and they fall their seeds or they shed their seeds in the May or at the beginning of June when there is water. After monsoon, arrival of monsoon, the seeds are carried from one place to another place. Seed dispersal is a vital phenomenon in plants, and plants use water as the agency for dispersal of their seeds. So many plants which grow at the bank of rivers or in the water, they disperse their seeds by water. Again, water plays a vital role in their life. Gametes swim in water. We know the plants like bryophytes and pteridophytes and gymnosperms, especially bryophyte, pteridophytes, algae. All these are the plants which we call them as cryptogams. Why cryptogams? Algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. These are the cryptogams. Angiosperms and gymnosperms are the phenerogams, seed-bearing plants. These are cryptogams because they are having creeping gametes. What does it mean? Their gametes swim in water at the time of pollination and fertilization. fertilization especially. These plants develop gametes with flagella, and with the help of flagella their gametes swim in water and they reach their destination, they reach to the female gamete. If in some cases female gametes are also in so many algae, when the isogametes or anisogamy is there, the gametes are both gametes, male and female gametes, they are having flagella. In many cases the female gametes are non-motile like bryophytes and pteridophytes, but the male gametes are motile. In gymnosperms also, though they are not swimming a lot distance, but in gymnosperms also the male gametes are having cilia on their surface. With the help of it can swim in water to reach that pollen chamber, archegonial chamber. So in this way, these are the plants, cryptogamic plants, which cannot complete their life cycle in absence of water because fertilization is impossible in absence of water. They need water for their fertilization. We know biophytes are called as amphibians. They are the first plants which try to go away from the water, but they cannot go completely away from water. They are amphibious, they need water at the time of pollination, at the time of fertilization. When they shed the gametes swim in water and they reach the female gamete. If there would be no water, no fertilization in biophytes, no fertilization at all. And therefore these algae and biophytes develop only at that time when there is water, when there is monsoon. These plants do not develop in summer season. That is the reason they cannot complete their life cycle in absence of water. They need water. They are totally dependent on water. Algae are thoroughly aquatic plants and algae are the abundant. Most of the plants on the earth, they are in the form of algae. Their number is very great. Their quantity is very great and they are present in the water. All of them depend on water. We depend a lot on the algae. Other animals, aquatic animals especially, they depend a lot on algae as their food. Algae are the producers of all ecosystems, aquatic ecosystems especially. Algae are very important. So water is important for us in that way also. We many plants, we would not talk about ourselves, plants are dependent on water. Algae are thoroughly dependent on water and other animals depend on algae. So that is the importance of these plants. One more point is there which I have not written here. The plants need water as a cooling agent. I would add here. It is a coolant for the plants. Why coolant? Because when the physiological processes take place in the plant, any part of the plant, heat is generated. Due to the heat, internal temperature is increased and this needs to be cooled down. So water is circulating throughout the plants and that cools the increased temperature. So the water is a coolant for the plants. Plants circulate water and due to the water circulation, the temperature is maintained in the plants. They need to maintain a particular temperature. It is maintained by the water. In our case also, our blood maintains, and blood is made up of, we know, most of the part of the blood is plasma and plasma is water. So in our case also, our body temperature is maintained constant by the water. In plants also, the water is a coolant. Whenever some body temperature is increased due to some physiological processes, water goes there and water cools down the temperature. So water is a coolant for plant engines, for plant bodies. So this is one aspect of the plants, plant water relations, importance of the water to the plants. Again, we are going to study some of the physical properties of water. Physical properties of the water. What is water? How it is? What are some physical aspects of the water? You know, Water is colorless. Liquid water, it is colorless, it is odorless, tasteless. It is not having any taste, though we many times say it is sweet water like that, but basically the water is having a physical property in which we say that water is colorless. हमने सुना है जिसमें डालो वैसा, पानी रे पानी तेरा रंग कैसा, जिसमें मिलाए वैसा, उसका खुद का कोई भी कलर नहीं. वाटर इज नॉट हैविंग इट्स ओन कलर, इट इज नॉट हैविंग इट्स स्मेल, ऑर्डर, कोई भी उसको स्मेल नहीं है, एंड इट इज नॉट हैविंग एनी टेस्ट, इट इज टेस्टलेस. वॉट एवर टेस्ट वी take of the water, it is due to the minerals. Whatever minerals are present in it, depending on that we might have a taste of the water. The evaporated water or the distilled water, it is having no taste because it is having no minerals in it. Then water expands on freezing. When we freeze liquid water, it expands. This is a contradictory character because it is not happening in other substances. They do not freeze when they are expanded. They contract other substances, but it is a reverse case about the water. Water expands on freezing, and we know that's the reason why icebergs are floating on water. Large icebergs, they are too heavy but they float on water because their density of the iceberg is less than water. Water is denser than the ice. Liquid water is denser than the solid ice, and therefore it is said that water expands on freezing. Molecular weight of the water is 18. It is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen, and therefore it is H2O. The water H2O to H2O bonding is done by the hydrogen forces, and therefore it is said that liquidity of the water is due to the hydrogen bonds. These hydrogen bonds are weak bonds. They are weak bonds, and that's why liquidity is there. We can cut off water, we can add water from one thing to another thing. It is liquid in nature. That liquidity is specially due to the hydrogen bonds. Instead of hydrogen bonds, if there would be covalent bonds, strong bonds, it would be not liquid, it would have become a solid, but it is liquid due to these hydrogen bonds. It's blood pressure, no, it's not blood pressure, its boiling point is 100 degrees centigrade. It is said that it is one of the highest boiling points, 100 degrees centigrade. This is important. अगर उसका boiling point कम रहता था तो it would have been evaporated very easily. So it's good that it is having highest boiling point. The H2O molecules show high cohesion force. Cohesion force is high. It means that, try to understand, this is slightly difficult. The surface, when there is water, the surface molecules of the water are more attracted, or they are having more attractive forces towards the H2O molecules inside the water body. The attractive forces in between the water to water molecules, they are stronger than the surface, the air molecules which are present above the water, and that's why water gets attached to water. You might have seen in many times, many cases, that when 2 water drops are placed together, they merge into one another due to these cohesive forces. They attract. There is mild attraction, but they attract. You can see this when there is a leaf surface on the leaves of the plant. If we put 2 drops, they at once, if they are near to one another, they merge into one another. So this is due to the cohesive forces. They show cohesion and high cohesion. Cohesive forces are very high. That's why the water is always remaining together. If the force of attraction in between the water molecules would have been less than this, whatever it is already present, if lesser than this, it might have been evaporated easily, it might have been gone or sprayed easily. That is not happening, and this water surface tension, again it is similar to that. Surface tension of the water molecules is highest, it is next to Hg, it is next to mercury. And again here also same principle, the water molecules which are present on the surface area, they are hold tightly or with more attractive forces by the water molecules which are present interior, and this attractive force is higher than the attractive forces of the air molecules which are present surrounding the water, which are present above the water. This is called as surface tension. The surface tension is very high, and that's why water molecules try to remain together with one another. Now the water is a very good solvent. It is far better solvent than others. We know a lot of substances that dissolve in water, minerals that dissolve in water. Water is a ideal solvent, NaCl or sugar, so many substances that are very easily dissolving in water, and that's why it is said that it is a very good solvent. It is far better solvent than many other substances. It is transparent. Water is transparent. We can, if it is clear water, pure water, it is transparent and we can see a lot of things inside the water. Water allows transmission of light. These are the physical properties. We can see what light can be transmitted into the water, but towards the depth all the seven sunlights do not pass. We know light is made up of VIB, ZY, OR, 7 wavelengths, and all of them does not reach the bottom of the sea. When the water bodies are quite deep, then some of the lights remain superficial, just like the green light. It is not going to the depth, and therefore at the depth of the sea you see the red and the brown substances. The animals also there which are at the bottom of the sea, they are differently colored, and these colors are quite vibrant colors. So red color, yellowish color, brownish color, they are vibrant colors because all lights are not reaching there. And when we see some substance of a particular color, suppose the leaf of the plant is green, it means that green color is not absorbed. All other 6 colors are absorbed by the leaf. Green color is reflected. Only the reflected color reaches our eyes and we identify it is green color. So this is the phenomenon of light. Anyhow, these are the physical properties of water. Water is colorless, odorless, tasteless. It expands on freezing. That's why ice is having less density than water. Its molecular weight is 18. It is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. 2 hydrogen molecule, 1 oxygen together form H2O molecule, and the H2O to H2O, they are bonded by the hydrogen bonds, and these hydrogen bonds give liquidity to the water. Its boiling point is 100 degrees centigrade. It is highest boiling point. Then it is H2O molecules show a high cohesion force. They try to merge into one another, they attract one another, and therefore water remains together. It is having highest surface tension. Again, the surface tension is defined as the tension, or it is defined as the attractive forces in between the water molecules. The surface water molecules are attracted with more power towards the interior molecules, and this attractive force is greater than the attractive force of the air which is surrounding the water body, which is above the water body. The water is a very good solvent, and it is far better than other solvents. So many substances dissolve in water, and this is helpful for the plants because they did whatever the transportation absorption in the form of dissolved substances. So this is very important phenomenon of the physical property of the water. It is a very good solvent. It is transparent and it allows transmission of light and all these things. So these are some of the important physical aspects of the light. These are some of the aspects which in which we see how the water is important to the plants. I think this is sufficient for this lecture. In next lecture we will discuss about the diffusion. Thank you.